Hello and welcome to another installment of the Morning Brew live on NTN. My name is Jessie Leonce. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today is Thursday, the 15th of October. So many observances and things we have to cover for today's program. We do hope you could stay tuned for the duration. Just to remind you, we are live today back at the Finance Administrative Center in Point Seraphine, following and supporting GIS is supporting the NCPC's Productivity Awareness Week of activities. And just to read the headlines to you, as usual, every morning we bring you the latest developments from the government of St. Lucia. For startling new information, we have St. Lucia recording 2 new cases of COVID-19, patient number 30 and patient number 31. We have the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Bilmar-George, giving an update. We will also tell you why instruction was interrupted at the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School. So do stay tuned for that information as well. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force has indicated that 2 vessels have been intercepted. 6 St. Lucian nationals are detained by Marine Police on suspicion of attempting to illegally gain entry into our borders. We also have news of International Credit Union Day being observed today, the 15th of October. We have the General Manager of the Labrie Credit Union, Mr. Lucius Elevic, on standby to join us later on for the program. He's representing the St. Lucia Cooperative Credit Union League, and he will be speaking to us about the movement, what today's observance means, giving us a bit of the history, and also putting things into context in terms of the COVID-19 situation. And hundreds of St. Lucians to benefit from government's newly launched electricity assistance program. We'll have the details to these stories and more coming up directly after this break. Do stay with us. Today's schedule required me to drink some coffee. Whatever you're doing today, if you're in office, if you're at home about your chores, huddle up, having some tea, some bush tea, some coffee, some hot chocolate. We do hope you can stay tuned for the duration of this program for these very important updates. Stay with us.
COVID-19 has been disastrous for our economy and our productivity.
But it has caused us to reset, rethink, and innovate.
Productivity Awareness Week 2020 will focus on building collective resilience in tourism, infrastructure, and the financial sector.
Rethink our approach to the agriculture, manufacturing, and the health sector.
It calls for innovation in education and taking advantage of opportunities in the digital economy.
Telework for greater resilience and productivity.
Join the discussions during Productivity Awareness Week from October 12th to the 16th.
Under the theme, Building Resilience Through Collective Action.
Reset,
Rethink,
Innovate.
Join the discussions live on Facebook at St. Lucia NCPC, the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, embracing excellence.
Live on NTN. The latest story, the headline for today, St. Lucia recording case number 30 and 31 of COVID-19. We now go to a clip from the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Bilmar-George, giving the immediate information on this matter.
Today, Wednesday, October 14th, 2020, St. Lucia recorded 2 new cases of COVID-19. The individuals are a couple, 38-year-old female and a 47-year-old male of Castries. They both developed respiratory signs and symptoms, which led them to seek care at the Community Respiratory Clinic on Monday, October 12, 2020, where they were treated for their symptoms and tested for COVID-19. As per our protocol, they were sent home in isolation, awaiting their results. Upon receiving their confirmed COVID-19 results, arrangements have been made for their transfer to the respiratory hospital for care. Their son, who is a secondary school student, shall be assessed and tested for COVID-19 and placed in quarantine. The classmates and teachers shall also be assessed and will be kept home in quarantine until his test results are received. Contact tracing has commenced with the possible contacts of these 2 new cases.
And the son of these 2 individuals, they being a couple, their son, who is a secondary school student, as Dr. Sharon Bilmar-George did indicate, is being assessed and tested for COVID-19 as well, which leads me to my next update. We have seen circulating a letter to parents and guardians of students at the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School, informing them to remain home. And I just want to read it out for the benefit of individuals who need this information, who this information is relevant to. Dated 14th October 2020, dear parents, guardians, today 14th October 2020, we were informed of a situation regarding a Form 3 student and his family. Officials from the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health visited our school to address the situation as best as possible. All students present on compound who may have been at risk were to a large extent addressed by the Ministry of Education officials, the Ministry of Health personnel, and the school's administration. Parents were immediately contacted to inform them of the delay in dismissal, since we had to address the situation as quickly as possible. Teachers were also addressed and encouraged to continue to ensure that safety protocols were adhered to. As a result of the information presented, we need you to note that your son or daughter may have been exposed to a student who is a contact of a confirmed case of COVID-19. This student has been placed on quarantine and will be tested for the virus. As such, there will be no school for all students until further notice. Please understand, please take note, there is no school for students at the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School until further notice. As a precautionary measure, your child or ward is to remain at home until we receive the test results of the student in question. In fact, we encourage everyone to continue to adhere to the COVID-19 precautions and protocols, and as such, the wearing of masks, the frequent washing of hands, and the sanitizing of all surfaces with diluted bleach is important. The Ministry of Education, in conjunction with the Ministry of Health and Wellness, will continue to update you on the progress of this case. Please continue to keep safe. All meetings scheduled for this week are also postponed. Apologies to all parents and guardians. So this is a letter written to parents and guardians of the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School students, informing them that they must stay at home until further notice. So please take note of that. We continue with COVID-19 news, because with this statement coming out from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. Vessels intercepted about 11:50 a.m. on Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force is informing us that 6 St. Lucia nationals were detained by the Marine Unit of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. 2 fishing vessels were intercepted off the coast of Point du Cap, and the occupants were detained on suspicion of attempting to illegally gain entry into St. Lucia from Martinique. 5 of the individuals are believed to be residents of Cicero Castries, whilst 1 is a resident of Montfortune Castries, with ages ranging from 30 to 49 years old. No document to support legitimate travel have been furnished by any of the individuals aboard the vessel. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force is currently collaborating with the Customs and Excise Department, as goods appearing to be of French origin were found on the vessels. The individuals are all being escorted to a government quarantine facility as investigations into the matter continue. So this is the latest update from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. As you know, there is grave concern with respect to persons entering the country illegally, entering our borders back door, as you would put it. And this latest announcement from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force of the vessels being intercepted is good, but also concerning news, because we are seeing that persons are continuing to attempt to cross the border, as from all indications from this statement. So please take note of this update as well. I just want to remind individuals, we've seen the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmar George. Everything that we're seeing around us is telling that we are being faced with the possibility of community spread. We've had the 2 latest cases being individuals who have no travel history. They are just going about their business, living their lives here in St. Lucia, and they have contracted COVID-19. You will watch television, you will watch international news, you will watch the local news and become convicted from your home, in your own living room, that you must do something. You will wear your mask, you'll wash your hands, frequently use hand sanitizer. But then you take a bus and you come to Castries and you see other persons are not complying, and so you just become complacent. I am appealing to everyone to do their part, because an outbreak in St. Lucia will be good for no one. it will be good for no one. We're just appealing to everyone to ensure that you use your masks, you wash your hands frequently, use hand sanitizer, and observe the 6-foot distance. If you go online to shopping websites and so on, you see persons are selling t-shirts 6 foot away, please, you know, asking persons to stay away. And we should not be lost in the going about of things. We should ensure that we use and adhere to the protocols that have been put in place for our own protection, because this is real. At this point in time, the government of St. Lucia has the capacity to deal with cases. But if we have a case, a situation where there is a high-scale outbreak, the capacity of St. Lucia's healthcare, you know, may not be able to take on the number of cases as they skyrocket. So the hope is that we can do as much as possible. And I just want to go to a clip from the Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Alan Chastney, appealing to the general public to comply at this point in time. What we're facing, the possibility of community spread, can be averted if we continue to do and play our part. Take a listen.
So I'm appealing to all of us. We are under threat. The war has intensified. It's real. It's back in our backyard. The only way to protect yourself, to protect your family, to protect your neighbors, and to protect everything else, please, please adhere to these rules. Tomorrow, take it to the nth degree. The quicker that we can do that, 100% of us, I assure you that the quicker we'll be able to reverse this trend. Some of the damage may be done, but as quickly as we can now reverse it and be able to eliminate the community spread like we've done before, bring us back into the safe reign and an acceptable level, we can move forward. We have the respiratory center. We have medicine on hand. We're better equipped with PPEs than we've ever been before. We are ready, but we need you to do your part in this situation. It is, I am being honest with all solutions, not only a battle for the health of our country, it is also a severe battle, a real battle on the economics of our country.
That was the Prime Minister, Honorable Alan Chastney, stressing, appealing, urging to the general public to ensure they adhere to the protocols as a way to, you know, deal with and restore the level of security that we previously enjoyed here in St. Lucia. We saw that our economy was back on the coming up again. We had the restoration of the tourism sector, the reopening of our borders, all thanks to the mitigative steps that have been taken to ensure we were protected from COVID-19. We've seen countries whose health systems have collapsed because of the number of cases of COVID-19. We've seen countries who are, you know, cash-strapped, who are broke because of the effects of the pandemic. And we just hope you could play your part, because it affects everybody in this country. Do play your part. At this time, we're going to take a break from the weighty pandemic news, and just to bring on Ms. Nadej Smith-Lambert. She's a health educator at the Bureau of Health Education at the Ministry of Health and Wellness. A special good morning to you, Nadej. And it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, you know, and I somehow fear that, you know, the breast cancer awareness activities have been eclipsed by COVID-19. But we continue to at the Bureau of Health and Wellness continue to advocate for the awareness of breast cancer and cancer in general. Again, a special good morning to you now that you are in frame. A special good morning to you.
Okay, good morning, Jessie. Thanks for having me on your program this morning. Good morning, St. Lucia, and I'm hoping that with the effort we put into Breast Cancer Awareness Month every year, annually, that this year persons have not forgotten that this month is observed as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Given that we're under our pandemic COVID-19, we still know the importance of breast health. Jessie, during the month of October, the Ministry of Health and Wellness don't just observe Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but rather breast health. And our breasts play many roles in our lives as women. They give us our unique shapes. Some of us have big breasts, smaller breasts. They provide sexual pleasure. They deliver what we call the richest milk our babies can ever obtain. Some women are completely comfortable with their breast, while others aren't, basically. They worry about the breast size, whether the breast is too big, whether it's too small, how it falls on when they do not have a bra, how it looks. Some women feel comfortable whether it look this way or that way. But when it comes to our breasts, we all have this different feeling towards our bodies. As usual, we really try to emphasize the importance of knowing your breast, feeling your breast, and loving your breast. Now, we have 5 ways to keep breast healthy, which include maintaining a healthy weight, exercising, limiting your alcohol consumption, and not smoking, and performing a monthly breast exam. This monthly breast exam could really be a monthly self-breast exam. What you would need to do is to learn the concept of doing a breast exam at home by yourself, whether it be in the shower or out of the shower. In the shower, some people say that it's easier when your body, you all soaked up and your hands could go around easier. However, we would really like to use this month to emphasize the importance of knowing them. Whether we feel comfortable with them, whether we like them, we should know them. We have had them from babies to adults. There are women who tell you they have never really looked at their breast. Any change in their breast is identified by their partner. But we want this to change. We want women to feel comfortable with their skin in their own bodies. We want you to learn your body. It's okay to sit down and to look at your breast, to touch your breast, to feel your breast. Get comfortable with your breast so that you are able to identify changes in your breast. If you don't know your breast, how would you be able to identify if you have a new lump in your breast? Some women will tell you just before their period comes, the breast is very lumpy. Some women will tell you after their period, the breast will be very sensitive, or even before their period, very sensitive. Some people will tell you even in the early pregnancy, the breast is very sensitive. Some people would not know the difference. They will panic because they did not know if that lump was always there. So one day they're walking, they push their hand in the bra, and all of a sudden they feel a lump. And they will literally go mad because they really don't know if that lump was previously there. We have many breast cancer survivors who tell you that they were able to identify the first lump because they knew that they regularly checked their breast and they never had this lump before. Right? So this is why it's important for us to know our breast, for us to feel comfortable touching our breast, and for us to do our regular and monthly, not just regular, because for me regular can be once a year. After you do your monthly breast self-exams, it is still very important to get your clinical exam done at least once or twice a year. It is important. This is why during the month of October, we ask persons to put aside other things. Take some time, whether it be for family member. The same way when you want to go to a party, you call your friend. When you want to maybe go buy an outfit, you call a friend. Make it a breast friend activity where you tell your friend, you know what, I think we should do our monthly exams this month.
It allays anxiety, you know.
It does. And at least you get that support. Not a friend, a family member, a colleague, somebody. Grab that person's hand and say, let's know what, this month we're going to do our breast exams. Now, we know because of COVID that some persons will really, how would I say, some persons were unable to go to their private doctors. Some persons really haven't gotten an opportunity to go out there. Some persons are still fearful to go into the doctor. So because of that, what one of the activities that the Ministry of Health have decided to do is to target persons within the community. So some communities are hosting what we call a breast screening day. Some are half day, some are whole day. But what persons can do, they walk in on the day. I will share the information with you. They walk in on the day and you can actually get your breast examined clinically at no cost. No cost at all. Okay?
Before we get to the activities, I just want to speak to the points in your life as a woman where it is most important. Do you do it after you have your first child? Do you do it, you know, when you become an adolescent? At what points in time is it most important to get tested, at least clinically?
Okay, so Jessie, I think this is almost, I should say, like a difficult question. A couple of years ago, this would have been an easy question, and you would have heard persons say, by the time you reach 40, you should go to get your mammogram. By the time you reach, but it's no longer like that anymore. Jessie, we have teenagers being diagnosed with breast cancer. So I cannot say that it is at 40 years, you should go get a clinical breast exam. However, what we do, we advise persons from school. We normally go into the schools and teach students how to do the breast self-exams. So at that age, you start to do your breast self-exams. But from the time you become an adult, in like 18 into 19, you go to your doctor and you start to do your clinical exams. From there, based on what the doctor sees, the doctor would ask you, would refer you whether you need a mammogram, because you don't just walk in to do a mammogram or an ultrasound on your own, but you go to your doctor and your doctor would recommend or refer you to do what is necessary.
And there are also these are horror stories, persons saying they're so afraid to go in. You did mention going in with a friend, but can you speak to what the procedure is like for getting tested clinically?
Okay, so for a clinical breast exam, it's basically you would call your private doctor or you walk into a wellness center and say that you would like to get a breast exam. A lot of persons do it when they do their general, their medical. So you don't necessarily would go in just for a breast exam, but when you go in for your medical, this is part of the routine. Now, sometimes you might go to a doctor and say, Doc, I'm here to do my medical today, but they might probably skip them that they need to do the breast exam. I always tell persons, you need to take charge. When you go to a doctor, you could ask your doctor for the services that you would like. So you would say to the doctor, Doc, I'm here this morning to do a medical, but I would really like you to perform a breast exam for me. And this is how you start off doing your clinical exams. Through request, you walk into the wellness centers. There are specific days. Persons who access them normally knows the days at each wellness center that they provide services such as those. You ask. We don't have to wait for a medical provider to tell us that we need a breast exam. We want us to learn that it should be something that we do. So we do our self-exams monthly, and however, we would move into clinical at least once a year. For some persons, twice, which is the most recommended, twice a year.
Activities scheduled for breast cancer awareness.
Yes, so we have a number of workplace activities. A number of workplaces have called the ministry to ask that we come to do screening for the staff, which we are undertaking. But some of the activities we have in the community. So on Tuesday, October 27th, we will have the Cicero Wellness Center screening. So if you want to access screening, all you do, you go down to the Cicero Wellness Center from 9 a.m. on Tuesday, October 27th. We have Lafag Wellness Center on Wednesday, October 28th. Bexor Wellness Center, Thursday, October 29th. Entrepot Wellness Center, Thursday, October 29th. Grand Riviere Wellness Center, Friday, October 30th. And Jackmill Wellness Center, Saturday, October 30th. So you make your way down to the wellness centers, get your screening done, and if you need to be referred, they will give you the referral forms to do what exactly is needed.
Wonderful. Any final words as we wrap up to bring on your colleague later?
Okay. I just want to remind persons for the theme this year. It's the same thing that we had last year, and it's short, easy, and sweet. Know them, feel them, and love them.
Know them, feel them,
and
love them. Thank you very much for your time, Ms. Nadej Smith-Lambert, one of the individuals working hard at the Bureau of Health Education to ensure that the public is is abreast. Keeps abreast, no pun intended, as to what is happening in terms of the work of the Ministry of Health and ensuring that persons know about themselves, know about their health. What we're going to do is go to another story at this point in time. Once again, thank you so much, Nadej, for your time. Just stay put. We're going to go to another story for the morning. We did get word from we did see an event yesterday that is going to offer the underprivileged much assistance. The government of St. Lucia continues to roll out social and economic intervention programs as thousands of St. Lucians grapple with the financial fallout from COVID-19. On Wednesday, 14th October 2020, government signed a memorandum of understanding with the St. Lucia Electricity Services Limited, LUCELEC, to give life to the Electricity Assistance Program. The MOU was signed during a live ceremony on NTN yesterday. The initiative provides bill payment relief to qualifying individuals. Honorable Leonard Mantut is the Minister for Equity, Social Justice, Local Government and Empowerment.
Another significant intervention is the expansion of the Public Assistance Program, PAP, or the Welfare Program by 1,000 eligible households from 2,600 to 3,600. As I speak, Extension officers of the ministry are in the field engaged in a PAP rectification and expansion exercise. And from November 2020, qualifying households based on the application of the SLNet 3.0 will receive cash transfers in keeping with established payment amount to households under the PAP. As some of you may know, the government of St. Lucia has already secured donor funds of over US $700,000 from the India-UN Development Partnership Fund and the World Food Programme and its donors to support this initiative.
Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Honorable Alan Chasney, says the Electricity Assistance Program was designed to add value to the lives most affected by COVID-19.
The initiative offers assistance to groups of persons we believe are extremely vulnerable and in need of extension of support by the government. The program offers a credit to participants that is in line with the average monthly consumption of low-income households. Persons who meet the criteria and have decided to opt into the program will receive the nominal credits on their September 2020 to February 2021 electricity bills. These credits would be applied by LUCELEC and paid for by the government of St. Lucia. We anticipate that approximately 5,000 to 6,000 St. Lucians will benefit under this program. The government has embarked upon a broad-based consultation over the past 6 to 8 months and has worked closely with public sector agencies, private sector entities, civil society, not-for-profit organizations, and statutory bodies to develop various strategies and interventions. One such organization is the St. Lucia Electricity Services Limited. We are very pleased today to participate in this signing ceremony, which is symbolic of our partnering with the Electricity Company Services to make this intervention possible.
On Thursday, 15th October, that is today, 2020, LUCELEC will receive the first list of qualifying individuals for the relief program. Trevor Luisi is the managing director of LUCELEC.
The efforts at developing the framework and arrangements pertaining to the EAP commenced in late June, and here we are today to sign off on an MOU that will guide the process. I want to thank the government of St. Lucia for initiating this program, but I need to say a special thanks, and I hope I don't offend some of the other persons. A special thanks to Mr. Jonai Elios from the Ministry of Finance and Mrs. Irene Gasper from the Ministry of Equity for their tireless efforts at ensuring we got to this point today.
That was the Managing Director of LUCELEC, Mr. Trevor Luisi. At this point in time, we want to go back to the COVID updates, COVID news. I do have seated with me Miss Naomi Grandison and her colleague, Miss Nadege Smith-Lambert. If you just hold your mic. It's different out here. We're not in studio. But we just had Nadege, your colleague, Smith-Lambert, speaking to us on breast cancer awareness, and now we have you speaking to us on the COVID-19 situation, as well as the dengue situation in St. Lucia. We know we've been experiencing an outbreak so far. Right. Opening with the, by the way, good morning,
Good
Naomi.
morning. Good morning, Jesse and viewers.
We have some activities happening in the south of the island later, well, this week. We have the COVID outreach activity in Oleon. The Ministry of Health invites residents of the community of Oleon Dennery to an outreach activity at the Paradise Inn in Oleon Dennery on Thursday, October 15th, that's today, and Friday, tomorrow from 4 to 7 p.m. And the same is for the Deriso community. The Deriso community as well. So just an advisory going out to individuals in those areas to make yourself available, and that is based off of case number 29. And we've also so far seen case number 30 and 31. We scheduled for you to meet up with us and talk, and then overnight we saw that we had another 2 cases being recorded here in St. Lucia. Yes. And equally concerning, because there are all indications, as we can see it, of a possible community spread.
Yes, so this brings to the fore, Jesse, all what we've been saying, that if we continue to follow the protocols, then whether there are new cases, we put ourselves in a better place and we position ourselves in a better place. Continual wearing of the mask, sanitizing, washing your hands, social distancing are all the things that we continue to preach in a sense. Here we are now in a place where We don't know what's going to happen. All over the world, we have new waves occurring. And we have a number of persons who are spreading misinformation out there. And it serves only to cause a lot of us, as we would say, to be lackadaisical. And look at what is happening now with the new cases. What does that mean for us? Some persons say, oh, I don't want to do this quarantine thing. Some persons say with some tests done that it's negative and it's not as bad as we say it is. But we're just saying that consider, we have people coming in and they have a negative test, and we have gotten persons 7 days later testing positive. Why is that? Because there is a incubation period, and that incubation period means that it will take a while sometimes after you are exposed to a particular agent, like a virus, for the body to get to a point where the virus is detectable enough. What we call that the virus load. So sometimes it will take one person 3 days, another person 7 days, another person 10 days. So hence the reason why we encourage persons to isolate yourself or to be in quarantine within that period, and sometimes another test later on you may be negative 1 day, 2 days after you've been infected, but 7 days later the viral load may be high enough for you to be tested positive. So this is why if we continue to follow the protocol and we stay away from mass crowds, that is a key thing, Jesse. Staying away from the mass crowd. Just imagine you go into a mass crowd and you see 15 of your friends. It's tough to not make contact. It's tough not to be a human being. So hence the reason why it is important to stay away from these mass crowds, because then it means people are closer, the temptation is higher to be more social, etc.
I was just speaking just before, well, when Nadej was on, that we find ourselves watching the news and we become alert and we're vigilant and we're hearing what the authorities have to say. We're watching the international news as well and seeing the bigger picture, which is more concerning. And then we walk out with our masks, but then we get to town. And more or less persons are laid back. You find some persons are, doing just the same, but some are also laid back. And then we get into a space where, do you wear it or do you not wear it? Does it even matter? And just the emphasis on ensuring that you play your part. If persons come to town and see you walking in town with your mask, they're more inclined to do the same. And it's a domino effect. The more people who do, the more people will comply.
It's a wake-up call for all of us, Jesse. It's a wake-up call that if we were continuing to follow the protocol, if there happens to be a case within the community, then the likelihood of spread is considerably decreased.
Wonderful. And I just want to touch on some other aspects that I think are very important, because in the last week since we've been hearing of cases in the community, some persons may say, well, okay, if this person has it, their partner doesn't have it, these concerns are coming up, so if you could just speak to the nature of a virus. I mean, because sometimes you see persons in a family have the flu.
Right.
Everybody but the mother has the flu.
Right.
Can you speak to the nature of viruses in that respect?
Again, it's the same thing, the misinformation again, Jesse. A virus is an agent that can be spread in various ways. So COVID-19, we know that it can be spread through the air, through coughing, through sneezing, through touching surfaces. However, if you and I are in the same house, whether we're partners or brothers and sisters or not, it is the same thing with a flu and other conditions, even dengue, that not everybody would get infected. That's just the likelihood. One person's immune system may be different. Another person's exposure to the virus would be higher. So if you are exposed to a higher amount of the virus, then you are likely to become infected by it, because a certain amount of the virus is what will cause the infection. So it doesn't mean that because I'm living in a house with you, it means that for sure I am going to contract the virus and I'm going to have such a high viral load, or my immune system is the same as you, or that my practices are the same as you. So all these things would contribute to whether somebody gets it or not.
We're strapped for time, but I just want if you could just, as we close, just speak to the border situation, this latest case from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. What does this mean for St. Lucia individuals coming back door, as well as this latest situation with the school being closed?
What this means is that we need to take extra precaution and we need to report cases of persons coming in. It is for your well-being and the well-being of the other person. It is for the entire country. We really cannot afford for so many people to be infected with COVID-19. There are serious consequences for the older public and for persons with compromises. Now we have dengue, we have persons with cancer, we have persons who can still get the flu. So hence the reason why it's not just COVID-19, it's the complications that COVID-19 can cause far beyond because of persons' compromised conditions. So I just want to encourage everybody to take a stand and put your foot down and report these cases, and let us all proceed with the protocols.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Naomi, for sitting in. Naomi Grandison, Family Life Educator at the Bureau of Health Education. What we're going to do right now is take a quick break. When we come back, we're talking International Credit Union Day being observed today, Thursday, the 15th of October. We're going to be speaking to Mr. Lucia Elevic. He's the General Manager of the Labrador Credit Union and representing today the Credit Union League here on Island. Stay with us.
I want to transform St. Lucia.
I want to make my mark.
I want to make a difference.
Through research and innovation, we can transform our country.
Improve the lives of all St. Lucians and give our fair Helen the competitive advantage.
Research calls us to investigate, study and reach new conclusions.
Which allows us to innovate, to create new methods, ideas, products and technology.
For more information, follow and like us on Facebook at St. Lucia NCPC, the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, embracing excellence.
For staying tuned, we are coming to you live from the Financial Administrative Center, the scene of the Productivity Awareness Week of activities the NCPC is observing this week. And we at NTNGIS are supporting this organization in their efforts to bring awareness to productivity, especially in the workplace. We now at this point in time want to highlight International Credit Union Day. It's being observed today, the 15th of October 2020. And I have seated next to me, well, at a distance, Mr. Lucia Elevic, and he is the General Manager of the Labrador Credit Union, representing the Credit Union League. A special good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining.
It's nice to be here. We are saying internationally, the third Thursday of October is celebrated as International Credit Union Day. And so we want to say Happy Credit Union Day to all the members of the various credit unions in St. Lucia.
Wonderful. If you could just give us the background to the observance of International Credit Union Day. What does it mean, especially for the community of credit unions and cooperatives?
Okay, International Credit Union Day, the celebration actually started about 72 years ago. And it was to focus on the importance of credit unions as an agent of social development worldwide. And for this year, the theme is Inspiring Hope for a Global Community. We think the theme is apt within the constraints, the confines of COVID-19. I think planet Earth definitely needs hope. And by its very nature, what credit unions are supposed to be doing is inspiring hope in our members and in the larger community by extension. In St. Lucia, we have 12 credit unions that are actually members of the Credit Union League. And collectively, we have in excess of 73,000 St. Lucians who are members of that movement. We think the credit unions, as a collective, provide a superior alternative to financial, as a provider of financial services. And we have come a long way in terms of when we started. Credit unions actually came to this part of the world through the efforts of let us say, the Catholic Church. It was actually Father Sullivan who in the decades of the 40s started that movement. In St. Lucia, I think our oldest on record would be Monrepo Eastern Credit Union. I think it would probably be the oldest credit union in St. Lucia. And we have been doing wonderful work in terms of providing financial services to a number of people who at one time were deemed unbankable. And we think we are market driven, we are member driven, and so the products and services that we offer has changed over time, in keeping with the nuances, in keeping with the current needs of our members.
We've definitely seen the credit union moving on with the times, the technology. Definitely we're coming to COVID-19, but before that, if you could just speak to some of the services that have been offered in the last 5 years or so. We know the ATM services. In 2018, I was in Grenada when we started to see credit unions offering ATM services. Speak to the emergence of that.
Okay, yes, the whole question of access, 24-hour access, 7-day-a-week access. It is credit unions, we are presently offering ATM services, and we are hoping not too long from now we will have probably a wider suite of financial services that our members can choose from. We are saying that come even close to the end of this year, we should be offering international debit cards so that you could access your account, not just presently what we have would be an ATM card which accesses your local account. So we're hoping by the end of this year, 2020, that we would be able to be offering our members an international debit card where their accounts could be accessible worldwide. I think this is in keeping with what is required. Some people ask, why so late? We are saying that it is a costly venture, and you want to look at the utility rate. And we think it is apt at this time in terms of the demand and in terms of us generating the necessary revenues to offset the cost of providing these services.
Okay, coming now to COVID-19, we found ourselves in a situation where many persons unemployed, their employment status is in the balance right now. Can you just speak to, we've seen the banks extending their moratorium on conditions, stringent assessment of the applications. Can you speak to the work of the credit unions at this time in responding to its membership who may be experiencing difficulties in this economic space?
Okay, yes, I probably will want to argue that credit unions are better positioned, better placed to cope with the ravages of COVID-19.